Ta-da! Hey guys. So I'm here. Hey, I was amazed at how many of you guys came in here early and left comments immediately after that final gun. Let me get myself situated here. Okay. So let's see what we got going on here in the comments section. Wow. A lot of comments here. I think this might get a little ugly, but that's why we're here. Well, guys, I don't have a lot. I'm just gonna go over what I saw in the game. I wrote some notes down here on my notepad, and we'll go over the statistics, and then I'll read over the comments gradually. I don't know that Alex is coming in for this live stream, but we'll go. I suspect this will go about an hour, and you guys want to come into the stream and air your grievances with Jimmy or the program or just COVID or whatever, you're welcome to do so. But I don't know that I'll have my wingman coming in today. So first of all, welcome to Big Discussion 76 Sports. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar. Please like this stream. Please share it. And please subscribe to my channel. It looks like I lost one sub between kickoff and now. So I guess I'm at 551. But hey, someone, if you're new to the stream, put me over 460. I think it's 560 or 460. I don't know. It's hard to keep track of all these things. I'm going to get this out of the way right now. I'll just mention it briefly throughout. If anyone wants to, I don't think anyone's in a good mood today, but still, I'm a YouTube content creator. So this is what YouTube content creators do. And even if you don't, we're still going to talk about the game. If anyone wants to donate to the channel, my Cash App is right there. So where to begin? So, I wasn't sure if I was going to do this post-game live stream today or tomorrow, but Abdul Gaines right there in the chat, he was texting me throughout the game, and I was going to work on my Mandalorian video for my my entertainment and media channel, but Abdul Gaines, I think he had a lot to get off of his chest today after the game, just like you all do. And so I decided to go live today after the game. So it's another loss. The Wolverines, Kenneth, appreciate that. I've been stuck at 4. What's the number? I'd been stuck at 452 for so long. I don't know if I just lost the magic or if people didn't like me or what, but I really appreciate that. Anyone else, if you're new to the stream or if you're watching on the playback, please subscribe to the channel. So Michigan lost today 27-17 to the Penn State-Nittany Lions. Penn State was previously winless in this historic COVID-19 shortened season. And so remaining on the schedule for our beloved Maize and Blue are Maryland and Ohio State. Now, what's interesting about the last 2 weeks is, hey, will we even have to play Ohio State this year? It turns out that our friends from down south, they got overrun by the COVID. So they did not get to play today. And there's been a lot of crying and politicking in the sports broadcast world about how Ohio State is going to get cheated, how they might get cheated out of getting into the college football playoff because they're not going to have enough games, and Indiana might get into the college football. Indiana might get into the Big Ten championship game along with a team like Northwestern or who's the other team? It was Northwestern. There was another team that was in the mix, but it might come down to Indiana and Northwestern because Ohio State has been overrun with the coronavirus. So I'm so sad to hear that. Of course, I'm not sure if you should believe me on that. But the interesting thing is, will Ohio State be well enough to play in 2 weeks, or will Jimmy and Don get away without having to lose to Ohio State again this year? So I don't know, but they were kind of bent out of shape down in Columbus. Some people even rumored that there was the Big Ten conference this week, and then that there's some sort of conspiracy against Ohio State. So let's see. Speaking of which, Thomas Weatherford, I'm jumping down to my last comment here. Thomas Weatherford on Friday said something about it'll be cool if Ohio State catches the COVID. He said some iteration of that. But he's saying here, I didn't mean for them to catch COVID when I said it. See? Okay, before I get to my what I saw in the game, before we get to the statistics, I'm going to read some of the chatter that I was getting during the game from my unofficial show producer, Abdul Gaines. Let's see. During the game, let's see. This is a long text by Abdul Gaines here. I was getting these all throughout the game. So much has happened that could be in Michigan's favor this season. Michigan State is scheduled to be in Ann Arbor for a second straight season. Sparty is rebuilding, and the Wolverines lose to them. Penn State starts the season 0-5. Ohio State has multiple games canceled and are potentially on the brink of not being allowed to participate in the Big Ten title game. All Michigan had to do was beat a rebuilding Sparty and couldn't. All Michigan had to do was beat a Wisconsin team at home, starting a new quarterback in Mertz, losing one of the best running backs and players in the history of their program in Jonathan Taylor, and didn't play in 21 days. Michigan couldn't beat them. It was all set up for Michigan to go back into the Big Ten title game potentially, and they could not do it. That's very, very disappointing. Abdul Gaines wanted to know when I was going live. Okay, so he was part of the reason I went live today. Abdul Gaines says, Harbaugh, this is off my phone, by the way, Harbaugh should be fired. I don't want more of my teams. I demand more of my teams. Abdul Gaines says, look at teams like Indiana and Northwestern. They could back into the Big Ten title game. This is a COVID-19 year. It can lend itself to shockers. It can lend itself to surprising teams sneaking titles. It set up pretty well for Michigan, and they couldn't get it done. Our Lakers got it done. He's a diehard Laker fan. One more text from Abdul Gaines, and I'll read something else someone sent me, then I'll jump into my analysis of the game. I think Cade could still be hurting. That being said, when you are on the field, you are 100%. What is frustrating about Michigan is that they're not bereft of talent. Look at the wide receiver core. I like Henning, Cornelius Johnson, Giles Jackson. The Wolverines have quality and competent wide receivers. McNamara was a 4-star quarterback recruit. Michigan is not starving of talent. Coaching, player development, and Michigan and the Michigan administration not being as committed to football as other Big Ten schools and schools nationwide is the most problematic aspects of the maize and blue. I'm going to read something here someone sent me on Twitter. I have a buddy, and he chimed in on this. He says, this was at 3:22, just after the loss. It says, Jim has to go ASAP. Y'all just lost to an 0-5 Penn State terrible football team, Doc. Okay. Whew. So it's it's kind of things are kind of bad right now. I know we're all kind of hurting a little bit, but hey guys, I was talking to my mother and I was telling her, it's a COVID-19 year. I know a lot of you guys don't want to hear this, but it's a COVID-19 year. They didn't get to do all of their off-season work. There have been a lot of opt-outs, this, that, and the other. I say don't fire Jimmy just yet. I don't know. I think this year is just an asterisk. I don't think you can. I don't think you can make drastic decisions on the program going forward. And there was a lot of commentary on that during the game, which I'll get to. Okay, so let's jump in. Let's see. I'm going to talk about what I saw during the game, and then I'll gradually read over your comments, and then we'll go over the statistics. I don't think Alex is coming up today, so if anyone wants to jump into the live stream, I'll put the link in the chat at some point. You don't have to. I know everyone's not comfortable coming in and actually talking. I'm happy you guys are here hanging out in the chat. So I'm going to enable my screen share, and as I read off my main points, we'll be reminded of the score. Penn State-Michigan. Okay, I'm going to blow that up just a little bit. Bear with me. Okay, there. So this is going to be our inspiration as I read through my bullet points here. Hey, if you're new coming into the stream, please like the stream. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Help push me at least over 460. Go Blue. Okay, so the final score was 27-17. I thought that one of the key plays of the game, or something that really affected the outcome of the game, was in the first half when Cade McNamara rolled out. They were in the red zone, and he tried to go out of bounds, and 2 to 3 Penn State players landed on him, and he hurt his shoulder. And, when that play was happening, right after that play happened, I said, oh, geez. As soon as Cade McNamara got up, he didn't look right. And I was just thinking to myself, okay, I hope he's not injured for the rest of the game. And so for much of the game, when Cade McNamara came back in, he looked a little bit off. They did show him going back into the locker room with the trainer, and he tried to come back out and play, but he just didn't look right. And the kid tried to tough it out. And when he and the coaching staff finally when they finally waved the white flag, you could see when Cade McNamara ran out that he was holding his arm like this. And hey, you know what that reminded me of? Those of you guys who follow basketball will know what this is, but it reminded me of the of Kevin Love's shoulder a couple of years ago in the I think the NBA in the conference final when LeBron assembled his super team, or his would-be super team, back in Cleveland. There was this classic picture of Kevin Love where he dislocated his shoulder when I was watching the game, and when Cade McNamara ran back to the sideline, that's what that reminded me of. But the kid clearly wasn't right, and that's disappointing because one of the things I was looking for was to see if he actually. So me and Alex were debating leading up to this as to whether or not they changed the plays for Cade last week at Rutgers, or whether Cade was just running the same offense that Joe Milton was running more effectively. And so I was looking to see if it was just Cade running the offense more effectively. And unfortunately, I did not get a clear answer because he got hurt. Now, when he did come back, he did make a key throw that got the Wolverines back in the game. That was a long ball. I think it was to either Cornelius or to Roman Wilson. But clearly in the second half, he wasn't able to go, and he wasn't himself. And the offense kind of sputtered along. Joe got in there, and Joe couldn't do much himself. Let's see. On defense, I'm going to show this picture of our defense because I think this signifies what it looked like for most of the afternoon. Kind of staring off into space, looking a little beleaguered. This is what happens when, especially in a year like this, when you don't have an offense that's rolling. Your defense is going to go back out there, and they're going to get tired, and they are going to miss tackles. And I thought that that was a part of the game. Sean Clifford is a mobile quarterback. He can throw it, and he was running the ball. He was throwing the ball, and he was killing us in both phases. And even that Will Levis kid, he came into the game, and he was killing us with his legs. So, and the running backs were killing us on the ground as well. And I think when we look at the stats, I think the stats will bear that out. And there were just, what was disappointing to me was that it seemed like there were a lot of missed tackles. So there was a lot of contact at the line of scrimmage. And it just seemed to me that if our players were able to wrap those Penn State offensive players up, they would have been able to just pull them down. But those running backs just got in there and just bounced it out in some instances. In some instances, they just shed those tacklers and just kept going. So I thought, once again, our defense got exposed in this game, which helped lead to that loss. When Joe got in there, Joe wasn't able to do much himself. I'm sorry, I call him Super Joe. So Super Joe wasn't able to do much himself. What's interesting is the commentators. Hey, Mike Golick was commentating this game. Mike Golick said, and the other commentator, I don't know who it was, said that Joe himself was playing through injuries. I didn't hear that the previous couple of weeks. So maybe the Joe Milton that we've been seeing isn't the real Joe Milton, because Joe Milton has been hurt. So it seems like everybody is nicked up if what Mike Golick and his co-commentator, if what they said was true. But Joe, when he got in there, he couldn't get much done. So once again, you had an offense that was sputtering and a defense that was out there just trying to hang on. Now, the good news about the defense, the one good thing is that there weren't a ton of penalties in this game from our defensive backs. So if there's one silver lining, it's perhaps that those young defensive backs are learning to play the position a little bit better. But, as a group, they weren't able to bottle up Sean Clifford and the rest of the offense. What else? Let's see, a big play. This score could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse than 21-17. That Cade McNamara non-fumble in I think it was the third quarter, that got called back, that got reversed. And then late in the game, there were a couple of instances, or maybe there was one instance where they tried to scramble Joe for the first down, and Penn State stopped them. That was at 6 minutes and 53 seconds. And I don't know what it is, but Joe doesn't seem to be able to run the quarterback sneak effectively. I don't know if that's a technique thing. I don't know if that's the offensive line, but he doesn't seem to be able to run that. Whenever he runs that, in the games that we've seen, he hasn't gotten the first downs. Let's see. At 5 minutes and 37 seconds left in the game, there was a turnover on downs. And for me, those were the main things that I saw during the game. Now, what's interesting is Mike Golick. Of course, the speculation about Jim going back to the NFL. There's a lot of that now. And Mike Golick talked about the fact that, what's going to happen with Jimmy. Golick was saying that a lot of the NFL teams are going to be interested in him. And as what we need to look out for in terms of Jim coming back is whether or not Ward Manuel gives him an extension, because a lame duck coach, recruits are not going to want to come to the University of Michigan to play for a lame duck coach. So if Ward Manuel extends him, that will tell us a lot about what they're going to do. And if those recruits who have signed on to the university are going to come, and also if they're going to keep recruiting. So watch out for a contract extension by Ward Manuel. And if Jim doesn't get one, I think that'll tell us a little bit about what he wants to do. Interestingly, during the game, Matt Patricia got fired from the Detroit Lions, so over in the NFL. So when that news, Abdul Gaines let me know about that. When I heard that news, I kind of scratched my head and said, perhaps, Jim's in Ann Arbor. Maybe he'll go up the road and go coach the Detroit Lions. I don't know. So look out for whether or not Jim gets a contract extension and whether or not that doesn't happen. I'm going to take a look at the comment section here to see what you guys have been saying. The comment section has been pretty active. Jeez. I'm going to go through one by one, and then we're going to go through the stats, and then we'll see what happens there. So let's see. This was immediately after the game. Is it possible that Caden McNamara is just injury prone? He missed time last year with an injury, and after playing only a handful of quarters in 2020 is banged up already. Well, Treppa, he did get landed on by two Penn State defensive players, probably a lineman and a linebacker. So, and he's not as big a kid as Joe Milton is. So, Vinay Prasad, Wolverines and their fans deserve every L they take. Go Bucks. That's from where's my picture? A little holiday cheer from a Buckeye fan. What else have we got here? Jordan says, I take back everything I said about Michigan having a chance against Ohio. Ohio beats Michigan by 40 easy, and Harbaugh is sent home to pack his bags. Well, Santa Claus might look out for Jimmy and have that Ohio State game canceled. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to see that game or if I want that game canceled. Trevor Cole says Ohio State may be missing some key players because of COVID protocol. So we'll have to wait and see who they can put on the field. Let's see. MB says Ohio State's second string could beat Michigan. Okay. Abdul Gaines says, I have a bunch of tiki torches that are well lit. Fire Harbaugh yesterday. Thomas Weatherford says 40, more like 80. So I guess on this trajectory, Ohio State would beat us by 40 to 80 points. Abdul Gaines wants to burn down everything. Not unusual. Jordan Gauthier. Hey, let me know if I'm saying that right. Gauthier or Gauthier. Jordan says, now that's wishful thinking, Thomas. Thomas Weatherford said, we would give JG Ave a hard time with most good high school teams. I'm not sure what that means. Jordan says, all I can say is I wish there was a simulation button in real life. Jordan says, I want to move on from this season. Oh, you only got 2 games left, Jordan. Only got 2 games left. Thomas says, thank God it's time for basketball. Jordan says, hell yeah, a real team. Abdul Gaines says, I wish Michigan football could be let off in handcuffs for impersonating a big-time college football team. You guys are really, really cutting up here. Jordan Gauthier says, Matt Campbell next season. Well, like I said, it depends on whether or not Ward Manuel offers Jim that extension. Look out for whether or not he gets that extension. Abdul Gaines says, this is the lowest point I've seen Michigan football at, and I'm including the Rich Rod Adidas era Wolverines. Let me take a sip of my drink here. Jordan Gauthier says, Michigan has been a waste of time watching them this season. SMH, it's time to change the whole staff, or we need to go after the AD's head. Remember, Jordan, it's a much more complex decision than that. Got to think about the financial health as well. Ward Manuel has to think about how to fund field hockey and women's volleyball. Jordan says defense is worse than Rich Rod's defense. It doesn't look good. At least Rich Rod's defense could run some zone coverage properly. That was me. If you want to donate to the channel, that's my Cash App. Thomas says, are you going to cover basketball? You know, I probably will do some. And some other things. Kenneth Joyce that just subbed. Thank you, Kenneth. Hey, if you're new to the stream and you haven't subbed, please sub the channel. Abdul Gaines says the Wolverines will be lucky to beat Maryland. I don't know. Alex says Tua's brother is a beast. So we may see the defense get shredded up even worse next week. Thomas Weatherford said, I didn't mean for them to catch COVID when I said it yesterday. Kenneth Joyce says, I live in Columbus. Trust me, they're playing. Trump is going to send them some of his medicine, LOL. We are going to beat that team, the likes of which you have never seen before. Abdul Gaines says, the University at Buffalo football team could throw more fight in the Big Ten than the Wolverines. That's not nice, Abdul Gaines. Jordan Gauthier says, freak Ohio, but I still don't wish COVID on any team. Jordan says, what's sad is look at all the 4- and 5-star players versus the other teams Michigan has lost to. Abdul Gaines says, at least I have my Lakers. Yeah. Legacy team, 18 Larry O'Brien trophies. LeBron is the GOAT. Magic, Kareem, whatever, Abdul Gaines. There's no team that does less with more than Michigan football, says Yakov 22. Jordan Gauthier facts. Jordan Gauthier says, I'll stay no matter what, though, because if I have done this much suffering as a Michigan fan, it will be so worth it when Michigan is good again. Jordan says, I'm only 21. I'm 21 and have only seen Michigan beat Ohio one time. So that was the Brady Hoke year. Fire Jim this year. What you mean? Kenneth Joyce, Don's Brown got to go at least. But we know how loyal Jim is. Jordan Gauthier says, fire the whole damn staff. Jeez. Abdul Gaines says, South Carolina fired their head coach. South Carolina is one of the toughest Power 5 jobs in America. They did not mess around. They fired Will Muschamp. U of M has no excuse not to fire Harbaugh. Thomas Weatherford says, I was happy to see them go under center on 4th and short for change. Abdul Gaines says, Ty Law, Glenn Steele, Charles Woodson, Chris Hutchinson, Dahani Jones, Chase Winovich, gone are the days of these proud defensive, these Michigan defenders. Thomas says, as a man that is born and raised in South Carolina, but raised a Michigan fan, it's hard to watch Michigan not fire Jim. South Carolina fired their coach, and that's good for them. I'm almost at the bottom here. Thomas Weatherford said, I hope not. Why would I want to watch him go to another Michigan team? I think he's talking about Jim going down the street to the Lions. Well, hey, up until that 49ers roster was picked apart, and Patrick Willis retired, and Jim fell out with the front office. Jim was a pretty solid NFL head coach. So, the other Gaines is here. Urban Gaines. His name is Raheem Gaines. Well, his nickname is Urban Gaines. Sensei Urban Gaines. Sweep the leg. I don't think Michigan has the guts to fire Harbaugh. A mutual parting of ways is most likely, in my opinion. Jordan says Gauthier, but it's French, so it's Gauthier. Thomas says, sorry, I was saying we should have a hard time with a good high school football team. Almost at the end here, then we'll look at the stats. Thomas says, my 3-year-old is sitting in my lap while trying to type. Jordan says, if they want money to pay for other sports, then they have to win in football, which means firing Jim. Well, you know, we don't know that because typically it's whether or not the big house is getting sold out. So the question is, would the season ticket holders and those people purchasing the luxury box seats, would they stop paying for what we have right now? And again, this is an unusual year. Vegas guy says Harbaugh to the Lions. Alex says, let me in. Okay. Alex, I'm going to drop the link, and I'm going to start going over the statistics. So there's the link in the chat. So the final score was 27-17. Both teams put up touchdowns in the first quarter. Let's see, Penn State won the second quarter 10-0. I think Cade McNamara went out here in the second quarter. In the third quarter, both teams only scored a field goal. And then in the fourth quarter, both teams scored a touchdown. So the difference in the game was actually the second quarter. Let's take a look at some of the individual statistics. First, let's look at Penn State. Sean Clifford played a really good game. He went 17 for 28. That's about 60 some odd percent in terms of completion percentage for 163 yards, and not that impressive. No TDs, no interceptions. But here's where Penn State really hurt us. Kevon Lee carried the ball 22 times for 134 yards and 1 touchdown. Sean Clifford carried the ball 9 times for 73 yards for an average of 8 yards per carry and 1 touchdown. Keziah Holmes carried the ball 10 times for 34 yards. Will Levis carried the ball 6 times for 25 yards and a touchdown. So both of these quarterbacks hurt us on the ground. Let's see. In terms of the wide receiving core, Parker Washington caught 9 balls for 93 yards. Isaac Lutz caught 3 balls for 30 yards. And Jahan Dotson caught 3 balls for 30 yards. They didn't really sack the quarterback. That was an interesting stat that we looked at on Friday. As shaky as the offense has been, the offense hasn't allowed many sacks. Let's see. Yeah, they went 2 for 2 on the field goals, resulting in 9 points. That should be 3 for 3. Let's take a look at how our Wolverines did. Wow, this is terrible. Cade McNamara. No, Alex. Cade McNamara went 12 for 25, so about 50% completion percentage for only 91 yards. So the question is this a function of his hurt shoulder? So he didn't throw for any touchdowns. Joe went 1 for 3 in that time that he was in there. Now, remember, during the game, Mike Golick and his co-commentator, whose name I can't remember, They said Joe's been playing hurt. So one of our quarterbacks has been playing hurt, and Cade McNamara got hurt in this game. So Hassan Haskins had a decent game, 17 carries for 101 yards, and he scored our only 2 touchdowns. Chris Evans had 4 carries for 35 yards. Blake Corum had 3 carries for 27 yards. And then Joe carried twice for 8 yards, and then Cade carried once for 3 yards. That's probably the play where he jammed his shoulder. Interestingly, no Zach Charbonnet. Golick asked that during the broadcast of the game as well. So in terms of the wide receiver core, Ronnie Bell caught 4 balls for 40 yards. AJ Henning caught 3 balls for 31 yards. And Cornelius Johnson caught 2 balls for 15 yards, and it goes down from there. Chris Evans caught 1, Eric All caught 1, and Nick Eubanks caught 1. And Roman Wilson caught 1. Let's see. Taylor Upshaw got 1 sack. Penn State didn't throw any interceptions. And I would say, the Penn State offense pretty much had its way. Mike Sanders still. Okay, so another thing that happened this game was that Giles Jackson was out. And so that hurt us because on one punt return, on one punt, I believe it was either a punt or a kickoff, the ball bounced off of Mike Stanristill's hands and into the hands of a Penn State defender. So Giles Jackson, who was our usual punt returner, was out, and that hurt us. Jake Moody, he connected on his field goal today for 5 points. And Brad Robin kicked 4 times for 149 yards. So that was our offensive production. This won't get it done against any team, but again, Cade McNamara got hurt. So, and if Joe Milton has been playing hurt, we really don't know once again who the guy is. Alex was gracious enough to join us from the restaurant. What's going on, Alex?
What say you, my brother? How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Just taking it all in.
I'm just going to run through a couple of things real quick, and then I'm going to jump off here. I don't know if you remember, but I said something the other day where I said, what happens when you get tape on him? And if you paid attention, I understand he was hurt. But a lot of the throws that he was making, those receivers weren't open. Defenses saw what Michigan was trying to do. They adjusted, and they were playing basically press man, bump and run coverage. He was hurt, but not enough to where you really saw it on his throws until like the fourth quarter, where he just got to the when we had to take himself out. But prior to that, you can't dink and dunk. When people know you're trying to dink and dunk, they come up, they press those receivers. Those throws aren't open as much as they typically are. And they adjust, and that's what I was saying the whole time. Like, what do you do when defenses figure out what you're trying to do and adjust to your scheme? So we saw that today. It's going to be a problem going forward for them. The best thing about it is that the running game did get going, and that was really good for Michigan. But he had at one point, he was 12 of 20 for 90 yards. Dinking and dunking all day long is not going. You're not gonna be able to win like that. Getting those throws out quick, those quick 3-step drops, getting the ball out. People identify what they were doing and they adjusted. So I hurt or not, they were going to lose that game unless he took some shots downfield. It's all a chess match. So I think, eventually, okay. Eventually, we got to come back and see what's going on. Hold on a second, baby. We got to come back and see what's going on, and then see what their adjustments are from there. So anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna jump off here. You guys enjoy the stream, and I'll get with you guys later.
All right. Thanks for coming on, Alex. Okay. Well, Alex just weighed in and stated that they were doing a lot of dink and dunk. It did seem like he was not looking downfield in that second half. I'm talking about Caden McNamara, and with his shoulder not right, that would make a lot of sense. Maybe he could only throw the short routes at that time. But if that's all he could throw, then Penn State identified it, and they were defending those short routes. So I think the net of it is, at this point, we still don't know who the guy is, who the quarterback assuming Harbaugh stays. Assuming Harbaugh stays, we still don't know who the guy is. Is it Super Joe? Or is it Mr. Nevada, Caden McNamara? At this point, we don't know. I'm going to read some more of your comments, see what you guys have to say. And then, let's see. So the link, I'm going to throw the link in if anyone wants to come up and the way Alex did. This will be here. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, you don't have to do it. But let's start with Abdul Gaines. I don't believe Harbaugh has as much NFL buzz as some may think. Even with the good 3 years he had in the NFL, his last couple of years in the NFL weren't that good. Okay. So Abdul Gaines, as you know, that's a mixed bag. That entire Super Bowl team eventually atrophied to the point where all you had left was Colin Kaepernick. So it's, coaches can only do so much, especially if there's a dysfunctional front office like he had with Jed York and Trent Baalke. So, but Mike Golick kept saying the NFL will be interested in him, and the NFL will come calling for Jim. So, Alice, what's up, brother? Is the invite still on the table? So I think Abdul Gaines is thinking about going to become a Buckeye. Malachi says, horrible team, horrible coaching. Alex says, all good, my bro. That was in response to Abdul Gaines. Let's see. Jordan says, it's not Cade's fault. He was hurt. I tend to agree with that. If he was able to throw a couple of balls like he threw against Rutgers last week, like when he threw Cornelius Johnson open, then I think we're looking at a different ball game. That's just my opinion. Kenneth Joyce says, who's the third string quarterback? That's a good question. Give me 1 second here. Bear with me. Give me 1 second here. The third string quarterback. Okay. Running back. Defensive back. Maybe it's Dan Valeri. And Dan Valeri, 6'4". He's from Massapequa, New York. Could be Peyton Smith. It could be Andy Maddox. It could be Ren Heffley. It could be Max Whitwer. Wow, they've got a lot of quarterbacks on the roster. Let's go a little bit further, guys. For me, I don't know, but it could be. If you guys know, please leave it in the chat. But it's going to be one of those 4 guys. Yeah. I'm going to read some more of your comments here. Who's the third string quarterback? Let's see. Trevor Coles, if you strip away the jersey and logo, do you think you were watching a perennial bottom feeder in a Power 5 conference? See, guys, I think, again, I'm a pragmatist. So I think the other question you have to ask is, as with everything else in society in a non-COVID year, where they were able to do all of the camps, where Nico Collins and Ambry Thomas come back, where they have the non-league games, are we looking at the same thing? And my gut tells me, no, we would not be looking at the same thing. So to a perennial bottom feeder in a Power 5 conference, I think that's stretching it. And then Jordan says, excuse me, it's Dan Villari. Okay, so that's your third string quarterback. It's Dan Villari. So, well, guys, let's take a look. Let's take a look around the Big Ten. Let's take a look, and then we'll look at the schedule and see what we have left. And then I may shut this down. Let's see. Big Ten football scores. So right now, well, actually that was last week. So, okay, so today, Indiana beat Maryland 27-11. We've got Maryland next week. And from what Alex says, Tua's brother is a beast. So it's entirely possible that our defense might get torn up again next week, much worse than it has been. Northwestern and Michigan State are tied in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes left. And it looks like Purdue is up on Rutgers 30-27 with 6.5 minutes left. So if he's back. What's up, man?
Hey. I want to jump back in real quick for I head on.
All right.
And I think I don't want to make excuses for Jim. But I mean, the product on the field, the fact that I don't want everybody to look at the fact that Penn State won this game as an indictment on Jim, because we all know Penn State is better than 0-5. I believe that. I'll say this. Typically, you are what your record says you are, but I believe they are better than 0-5. They have had some going on in that program that typically don't happen in a normal year. With that being said, I think it's just time to cut bait and move on. It's just there's not much left to say. I saw some statistics today that even shocked me that I didn't realize.
Like what?
I mean, I knew about the 3-3. I knew about the 3-3 against Michigan State. I knew about the 0-5 against Ohio State. I didn't know that he's 2-10 against top 10 teams. And I didn't know that he's 11 for 16 against top 20 against ranked teams, which would be top 25 teams. That's you take out the 5 games against Ohio State. He's 11 for 11 against ranked teams. It's just not, it's just not a good look. He's just not getting the job done at the end of the day. Nobody over there is getting the job done, regardless of, circumstances, situation. You're just not getting the job done at the end of the day. And I'm the last person that, wants to see anybody fired. Do I think he'll get fired? No, I think they'll part ways at the end of the season. And obviously, in his position, to look at this, in his position, you much rather get fired than quit, or let a team buy you out so you can go somewhere else to work, because he wants to get last year that contract as well. So that's something to look at. And I'm sure he's a prideful guy. I have no doubt. It's not. I don't think any of this is an indictment on the fact that he doesn't want to win. I definitely think he wants to win. I just don't think he's the answer. I just don't. I think he's an NFL coach. I never thought he was a college coach. He's very old on his approach. I mean, there have been some strides to improve that, but I just feel like he's, all in all, he's an NFL coach at the end of the day. He's a good guy, good college coach. The same thing with Nick Saban. Nick Saban tried it in the NFL. He's not an NFL coach. He's a college coach. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are. And I just think the typical college grind, I just don't think it's really suited for him versus the NFL grind. They're two different things. So, I just think it's time for him to kind of move on next phase in his career.
Okay.
And that's not coming from a place, because I also understand that, he does that. Yes, am I a Buckeye fan? Yes. Do I have Columbus running through my veins every day? Absolutely. But if this was happening in Columbus, I would have the exact same opinion. I felt the same way about Cooper. So when Cooper wasn't beating Michigan, you're not beating Michigan, and we're not at home. We weren't competitive. You got to go. We got to bring in somebody else. We need a new voice. Sometimes it just happens like that. Sometimes marriage is just and it looks like a good fit, but once you actually get into the marriage and you start living together and picking out furniture and plates and silverware and things like that, and holidays come around, you just realize, even though you might love each other, it's just not a good fit at the end of the day. And that's what I think this is. I think Michigan loves Jim. I think Jim loves Michigan. He's Michigan. He loves Michigan all day, every day. I don't doubt that one bit, but I just don't think it's a good marriage at the end of the day.
Okay.
And in regards to the game, I remember I said the other day I wasn't really sure how it was going to go. One thing I did notice, I'm very happy with. It's very promising for the program, is that they found a running game. I don't know what happened in the middle of all this, but they found a running game, and I feel like that probably should be their identity going forward. They should be a power running football team. That's the one thing that they do well. They don't do anything else really well, but they do that really well. And in an even matchup, you saw it. Creed's first start. Even before he got hurt, dink and dunk doesn't do anything. You're throwing the ball to receivers, not getting first downs. Just like that's what they do. I think that's what they do. They're a power running team, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you got to find your identity at some point, and I feel like that should be their identity going forward. You should set everything else up through the run, because they do that. And Haskins was balling today. Again, I'm not a fan of him. I don't think he's the most talented guy, but he has vision. He runs hard, and that's pretty much all that you ask running backs to do. If you can do that, you can be halfway decent in any league. So, the offensive line needs to get better, but I feel like in the middle of all this, there are some bright spots. I know it looks really grim, for you guys right now, but I feel like you guys have an identity for the team going forward, and I feel like that's the bright spot in all of this.
Okay. Well, thank you, Alex.
Now, if you can just get the defense to do something, anything like sneeze on a guy, I mean, something like trip him, something.
Man, I was waiting for them to wrap the ball carrier up, and those guys were just bouncing out, and
Yeah, I mean,
that's one of the first skills you learn in football, right?
Those are just. Yeah, those are just blown assignments, setting the edge. They're just not setting the edge, which allows the running back to bounce out like that. And that's, I mean, I think he had a $130 today, freshman, $130, and he's not the most talented guy either, and he put up a $130, and I think Penn State did what Penn State did. Clifford throws the ball really well. He runs the ball really well. They got special packages for the backup quarterback, number 7. Did some good things, and I don't think it's an indictment on Penn State. I don't think it's an indictment on Michigan. I think it's an indictment on Don Brown because defense is trash, and I've been holding back for a long time because I've been really hopeful, like maybe it's this or maybe it's that. No, they're just bad. Like they played terrible. They were in perfect position, which means that this isn't a Don Brown thing. This is a player thing. If he's scheming to put you in position and you can't tackle, that's a player problem. So as far as I'm concerned, Don Brown, I know I said that before, Don Brown can keep his job. He just needs to get dudes who put their arms out and grab ball carriers. He did everything he was supposed to do as a coach to put them in position to make plays. And I saw 24 running through 3 or 4 arm tackles at the line of scrimmage, breaking out. Not setting the edge. I mean, these are basic things. Set the edge. And they were picking on Daxton Hill all day, and doggone it, Daxton Hill showed up today. I will say that. He showed up. They were picking on him big time. He showed up. He made some plays. He knocked some balls away. Shout out to him. But those linebackers and that defensive line, horrific. Everybody, they should be running right now. They should be running at the big, running them steps right now. They played terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. We have a hard time with Maryland. Alex has talked ad nauseum about Tua's brother. I'll have to get on the show one of these days. Can't today because I'm off Wi-Fi. All good. Check out the post-game presser. It's depressing. I can only imagine. I imagine it looks something like this. except maybe worse. I know. He's probably saying, we're practicing hard and the kids are working hard and we're giving maximum effort. I know it's got to be hard to see that. Jordan says, "Thank you, Alec."
On the flip side, I'll say this. Thank you, Jordan. I know you like to mess with me a lot.
Who, Jordan?
wanted to say, yeah,
Go
Jordan
ahead.
likes to mess with me.
Okay.
A little bit. I think he was messing with me the other day. So,
Okay.
but I wanted to say something. The defense is technique, heart, and it's just technique and heart, man, at the end of the day. So those guys play with no heart today. They were in position after position. I'm like, oh, man, like this guy stopped. No, he's running for 7-8 yards. Oh, there's nowhere for him to run. Bounces it out, 40-yard gain. I'm like, what in the world is going on? This isn't even before we could say, Michigan's corner is playing terrible. Michigan's corner has actually played pretty well today. And the defensive line and those linebackers play like trash. Trash. They look like that Buckeye defense from 2018? 2017, whenever we got rid of Shiano the year after that, it was scheme for us. It's not scheme for you guys. Because you're there. You're there. You're just not making the plays. Like you're there in position to make the plays, and the plays just aren't being made. And y'all need to stop this Don Brown. Stop it right now. Stop it. And I hate Don Brown. But, I just recognize it is what it is. Stop it. If you get the guys in position to make plays and then to make plays, you need to get new players. That's it. That's what it boils down to.
Okay, Jordan says, as a diehard Michigan fan, I'm a huge Jim Harbaugh fan, but he's not what Michigan needs. He also says Don Brown can't develop the talent on defense. He says, it's all love, Alex.
All love, man. All love, bro.
Arnett Mosley says, the number one issue with Michigan is the culture. Can't tackle, can't catch, can't block, can't get off blocks, just poorly coached. Why does that sound like Mike Singletary? Can't win with them, can't coach with them, can't do it. Abdul Gaines said that meme around earlier, by the way. Can't with them, can't coach with them, can't play with them, can't do it. This season,
can't do it.
This season, Clifford has been quite pedestrian today. He looked like a very solid Big Ten quarterback.
That's not true. Look at that's not true. Look at the games. Look at the stats. He's outside of. Well, I'll put it like this. He's played off and on pretty well this year. Keep in mind the identity of that team has been taken away as well. So he's had to adjust. And in that he hasn't played really well. So, I mean, I think that's a 2020 thing. They're a run first power football team, spread, looking around, and you lose, three running backs, your top three running backs, you're not balanced. Haven't been balanced all year. But I think Sean Clifford. I think he's a very good quarterback. He's a very good quarterback. He's definitely in that. He's definitely in the top 5 in the conference. Something like that.
Okay. I don't have much more. We only have 2 games left in this thing. I'll call it a thing. Move that comment. Yeah, next week, it's Maryland, and then the week after that, it's the Ultimate Reckoning.
We might not even play that game. So
assuming you guys are back. Yeah. Assuming you guys are back.
Yeah, we might not even play that game. I think our season's over. I think it's.
You think so?
And I don't know if anybody knows this, just to give you a little bit of insight. What happened with Ohio State was and you typically don't bring them up, but we are talking about just about the COVID protocols. They had a presser today with the athletic director, the doctor, and Coach Day, and the community in Franklin County has hit the threshold.
Wow.
They've hit the threshold, and a couple players out of the 105 people, players, staff, everybody, they didn't hit the big threshold, but they saw enough to where if they didn't shut things down, it could have got control. And that's the reason why they canceled today's game against Illinois. So again, they're not going to go into who tested positive. We'll never know that. But I can say that it was about 7% people tested positive between the staff and the players. And they did say it wasn't one position group. It was random people all over. So it wasn't like, all the running backs tested positive, or all the defensive linemen tested positive, or the quarterbacks tested positive. They're never going to tell us that. I will say this, which scares me. This is what scares me about the situation, is that Ryan Day works solely with Justin Fields.
What does that mean?
Justin Fields is separate from all the other quarterbacks in that room. Like, they're coached by somebody different. They're coached with Kevin Wilson and then somebody else. And Ryan Day solely works with Justin Fields in case something like this happened, where like one of the players got it in the quarterback room, Justin wouldn't be affected by that. So hearing that Ryan Day tested positive scares me that possibly Justin Fields tested positive, which means that he wouldn't be available into the Big Ten championship.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And so because of all these dominoes,
but just so everybody knows. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, because of all these dominoes, Indiana could end up in there, right? Instead of
they could.
Okay.
Yeah, they can end up, but keep in mind, there has been a circumstance where Ohio State didn't play for a Big Ten championship and still got into the college football playoff. Right?
Oh, we remember. We remember. 2016.
We got smacked back. Thank you very much. We weren't very good that year, though. I'm not gonna front. We were better than everybody else in the Big Ten, but nationally, we weren't very good that year. We were decent.
Yakov says, I would discourage any highly ranked quarterback or wide receiver from attending Michigan. It will ruin any chance at a first or second day draft selection. Abdul Gaines says, Haskins played well today. I don't think he carried the ball enough. Dre, what's going on, Dre? He says, Clifford is not a very good quarterback, man. His completion percentages are in the 50% range. I think today he was in 60%. Yakov says, before you go, Alex, I don't think Alex has watched much of Clifford this season to think he's anything but average, except versus U of M.
I've been watching Clifford since Clifford was at Penn State. So I don't go by I don't have the 2020 goggles, as some would say. I don't have that. I look at the entire body of work and what I've seen from him since he's been a college quarterback. So I just disagree with that. Is he having a down year? Yes, but there circumstantially, I can understand why he's having a down year. I completely understand that. But that's not to say that he's not a good quarterback. He's just having a down year. I mean, like we could have the same argument about Michigan's record. I don't think Michigan is a 2-4 football team. No, I don't think that. I feel like they are a very, very talented team. I don't know what's going on that has them 2-4. I believe that they're better than that, but that doesn't mean that I can just go out and say, oh, Michigan stinks because they're 2-4 this year. No, I feel like the pieces that they brought in, they have a lot of talent. They're better than I feel like they're better than what it is. The problem is that somebody has to take the blame for that. That's the issue. Somebody has to take the blame for that. And as old khaki pants, it starts with him. It starts with him at the end of the day. I don't know how many "baby, I'm sorry" you got left in you. I don't know. I don't know how many he had left, because he's been saying "baby, I'm sorry" for a while now. So I guess we'll just have to see what happens.
Give me 1 second here. I don't know why. Oh, there it is. Let me go back to some of the comments here. Clifford Buns. I don't know what that means. Sorry for my comment Friday, Alex. I forgot what Thomas said.
Hey, it's all good, man. It's all love here.
Okay, we have some residual 2016 sourness. I think I kind of I try to let mine just go away. Michigan beat Ohio in 2016.
I was going to something to that, but I don't want to get political. So, hey, man, and you can't question the results of the game, and that's all I'll say. You can't if refs say if the refs say it was a first down, it was a first down. We won the game. I actually got my man dot in the eye at the very end of the game on the next play. So I got that as my screensaver. I mean, we won the game. It is what it is. Sorry, better luck next year. In 2021, we'll see what happens. But yeah, you gotta let that go. Now, I will say, Penn State got a spot today that I know for a fact. On that QB run in the fourth quarter, they gave I think his name is I think it starts with the nest number 7, the backup quarterback. It was either him or Clifford. He was about a yard short, and they gave him the first down, and I was like, I don't know what you guys are looking at. But keep in mind, there's something that I saw in that game. I definitely think Penn State outplayed Michigan, no question. Cade being hurt or not, there was a play that kind of summed up the game to me. Penn State had Michigan in, I think, a third, and they had them at a 3rd and 10. They jump off sides. Penalty. A couple plays later, they get the sack. You had the crazy tip. That's illegal. It is illegal. When I saw that, I was like, ooh, well, don't catch that because that's illegal. Where the player batted the ball in, so, you could pick it up and run with it. I just don't think they played a very good game. They didn't play very well. I feel like they were 2 mediocre teams that showed up today, and one just happened to make more plays than the other. But I've seen some very bad officiating from the Big Ten officials this year, which it's a little bit alarming. I feel like they missed a couple calls both ways today, like clear as day calls that they missed, and that 4th and 1 was one of them. He was short. I also think that on the 4th and 1 with Joe, it's not on him, guys. It's on the offensive line. They got no push at all. And I think that when you do a quarterback sneak like that, you want to line up and immediately the ball. He lined up under the center, waited a couple seconds. That allowed Penn State to get set, and then he snapped the ball. And because Penn State was able to get set, he wasn't able to. He was close. He probably just had to reach the ball over the offensive line to get the first down. But I mean, Penn State flew off that offensive line. You know, I feel like there was a time in that game where, you know, it was third and 3, maybe manageable third downs, and they were running the football consistently, and Penn State was just flying. I mean, they were making those tackles at the line of scrimmage. Those linebackers were up because, I mean, he was dinking and dunking all day. So when you do that, everybody plays up. You're not throwing over the top. You didn't throw over the top one time the entire game. So
he had that one completion down towards the left. That was the only long. He threw one long ball. He got one in.
Yeah.
That kept that drive going in the second half. Okay.
But outside of that, if it you know, from what I hope you see what I'm saying. Like, get the ball out very quick. Defenses will adjust to that. They will press. They will play bump and run coverage all day long. They will jam those receivers to try to stop them from getting off their spots, or to try to get them off their spots to try to keep them from getting into their routes. So that makes him hold the ball even longer. So there's an adjustment. There's a chess match that's going on in that game, and I feel like Penn State just won the chess match today. Oh, Northwestern lost.
Yeah, let me read this comment. MSU has upset Northwestern.
Oh, you're killing me, Northwestern.
Let's see. Thomas, he apologized for the COVID comment.
I understand. It's all good, brother.
This is more 2016 game smack. How much did the refs get paid, though?
They got paid. They got paid in Buckeye nuts. If you want some, give me your address. I'll send them. Levis, thank you, Levis.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trey.
Lone Wolf 1921 says, I love that Haskins had 76 yards and a TD on his first drive and then didn't touch the ball until the second quarter. Jordan says, Alex, Cade was hurt and Joe Milton can't hit the deep ball.
Okay, so you keep saying Cade was hurt. Cade was – I know he got shot. I know he got the shot at some time. I think by the fourth quarter he just couldn't take it. But he was making throws. Those throws were just covered. They were just covered. They were bumping, jamming the receivers at the line of scrimmage. No receivers were open. They just weren't. They adjusted to what Michigan was doing. And I said this the other day. How long can you take those three-step drops? People are going – they have tape on you. Teams will adjust. I said that the other day. We were having a conversation. Everybody was like, well, K should have been starting, and we did this, and we might have did that. And I said, pump your brakes, because we don't know what happens when K is a starter. We don't know how he plays with expectations. We don't know how teams will adjust and have tape on him. They had 2 games on this hit. The third game, adjustments were made. He was dinking and dunking on all game, but they weren't there. People adjusted. So Michigan has to come back and adjust as well. It's a consistent chess match, offensive defense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me read that one. Yakov 22 says, if the Big Ten title game is Indiana versus Northwestern, expect a record low rating. That'd be cool for Chicagoland, but yeah, it'll be different without Ohio State and Wisconsin in there.
No one's in Chicago. I forgot. Well, I mean, the game's in Indianapolis, so it'd be good for Indy.
For Illinois and
Indiana. The game in
Indianapolis. I believe so.
Yeah, it'd be good. It'd be good for Indiana fans. Absolutely.
So Jordan agreed with your assessment about the short drops. So yeah,
I mean, the ball was. He was hurt, but the ball was getting there on time. Those guys were just covered. They were just covered. The thing is, I didn't even know he was hurt until he came out of the game. I didn't notice it at all. The balls were the short game was there. The balls were out on time. They jammed up a couple of times where they were able to get to them, but I really didn't see a drop off. There was velocity on those short throws. I mean, I know he missed one out the backfield that was really bad. It was going to a running back. It looked really bad, and he got tackled for a loss. But outside of that throw, I thought all the throws were, on point. Those guys just covered. And they just might have a better secondary than Rutgers. Has anybody ever thought about that?
Mm-hmm. That's possible.
They just might be a little better than Rutgers because it's Rutgers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, guys, we're at about an hour and a half. That's pretty much. Got one more comment from Abdul Gaines here. He says, "I feel terrible for Ohio State and their fans. I hope the COVID-19 doesn't take away their chances at competing for a Big Ten title and a national title."
Me too. But we'll see what happens. I mean, they took the precautions this week, so, maybe they took precautions now, so hopefully they can play the last two games and, be able to qualify for the championship and get into the college football playoff if they're selected. So that's also another thing. Northwestern losing is probably the worst thing that could happen because that would be another top 10 team that Ohio State could have beaten on their resume, and now we don't have that. They lost to Michigan State. They're going to be ranked 20th. It's going to be bad because Michigan State's not very good. They're not very good at all. So them losing to Michigan State, that's gonna hurt. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. All right. Got one more here. It may be good for Indiana fans, but only parents will be allowed. Okay.
Yeah,
well, everyone.
But it'll be good for the city. It'll be good for the city. Yeah.
Well, everyone, that's pretty much all I've got. Another disappointing loss. We know. Well, we should have one game left. And even if that last game gets canceled, maybe that'll be a good thing. But Alex, do you have any parting words?
I do. I think it was Thomas that said it. And Thomas, I'm going to say something. I said something a couple weeks ago, and not to get off topic, but words matter. Things in the universe, the things that you say, come to fruition in sometimes ways that you don't want. So I don't know if you remember this, but I said it might be better if Michigan just caught COVID from Wisconsin and canceled the rest of the season. Remember me saying that?
Yeah.
Well, look what happened. Now Ohio State's got COVID issues. So, be careful of what you say. Be careful of what you say, because sometimes it will come back on you. But I think it might be, for you guys, it might be a down day. You lost to a team that's 0-5. We all know Penn State's better than 0-5. But at the end of the day, you saw something. You saw your corners can actually play. Whatever Don Brown did, they played a lot better. This is the best they played all season. And I think you found an identity in the running game. So, you take those things, you build off of those next week, with Maryland, and then, what happens in Columbus, if you guys can play Ohio State or not. So you got an identity, and that's more than what you had coming into the season. So, I mean, it sucks that in a typical year, you get an identity through your preseason games and maybe a couple conference games. So keep in mind we're still at game 6 now, right? So typically, you're 4 games into conference play, you probably know where you are, but because you went immediately into conference play, you're now trying to figure it out on the fly. But I think that's something that you guys should definitely take away from today. Is that I feel like Michigan found its identity. and that's that power run game. Because I mean, you guys, I don't know why, like Abdul said, I don't know why they didn't run it more. I think by the fourth quarter they only ran it 16 or 18 times. I would have ran it probably 25 or 30. Being me. And I saw the Joe Milton quarterback run. I was like, where has it been? They went to it one time, and he got like 9 yards. Where has this been? Where has it been? Like, come on. I mean, the dude is 6'5", 240 and can run like 4.5, 4.4. Use this man in the run game. Make him another threat. Like, what are you guys doing over there? Anyway, I digress. But I feel like you found an identity today, and I don't think it's as bad as everybody thinks that it is. I don't, because you found out some things about your team that you didn't know the first 5 games, and I think that's really important. I think that's definitely something to build on.
Okay. Abdul Gain says, Anwar, I would love it if you would do a stream tomorrow dealing with the big picture / future of Michigan football. I don't know if I have time tomorrow, but I mean, these things have already been discussed in bits and pieces from me, from Alex, from Mike Golick, from everybody. So at some point, I guess maybe when I get a bigger picture of whether or not he's going to get that extension or not, I'll tackle that. But right now,
He's not getting that extension. He's not getting that extension.
Well, there's your prediction right there.
He's not getting that extension. That's not happening. That is not happening. Thank you, Abdul. I appreciate that. And I don't mean that for real. I really wish you would have forgot it.
And this will be the last one. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. Michigan needs to do something before next year because they are destroying the culture of Michigan football. That's from Tron 7000. Well, hey, Alex said no extension, so let's see if he's a prophet. No extension. All right, Alex, do you have anything else to say?
If I got a hot take.
All right.
I got a really hot take. I don't think he's going to get an extension yet. I have this really, really weird feeling. Even though I feel like he should not be back, I feel like he's done enough to be let go. I got this really weird feeling that if they run it back, they're going to win 10. I have a feeling that they're going to run it back and win 10 or 11 games next year.
Run what back?
I think they're going to run it back with Jim. They're going to allow him to play out his contract, and they're going to win 11 games next year.
Yeah, but Alex, I mean, if he doesn't get the extension, that wouldn't make any sense because then you have to think about the recruits, right?
True, but I think yes, but I think that he'll get the extension. I think they'll mishandle it like Michigan mishandles everything, and I think they'll offer him an extension. They'll offer him an extension after next year's season, and it's up to him whether or not he decides to take it or not. But that's my take, man. Like, I got a weird feeling they're going to win 11 games next year.
Well, if you have all your mini camps and all your off-season development and everything's going the way it's supposed to, then to me that makes for a better prepared team. I don't know.
Not only that, again, I'm going to keep going back to this. Michigan found identity, and you can build off of that. They do have a young offensive line. Everything that they're doing right now, they can build off of for next year. So that's my parting shot. That's my hot take. I feel like Michigan's going to win 11 games next year and then lose to Ohio State at Michigan by 35. So nothing simple than any other normal year.
Okay. Abdul Gain says, it's all good, Alex. Love your insight, bro. I love fellow Big Ten fans. Well, Abdul Gaines is feeling good tonight because he's all spitting fire. He's feeling the love tonight. I don't know what's going on.
Hey, Abdul, I gotta I got a seat ready for you, bro, right here. You wanna ride that ride to Columbus with me, man? I got it. I got the seat right here, ready for you. Waiting on you whenever you're ready.
All right, everybody, we're gonna shut it down. Hope no one loses sleep tonight over the loss. It's a weird year. Pay attention to what happens with our friends down south. It might be a good thing if we don't have to go down there. So, Alex, thanks for coming on, as per usual. If you're watching this on the playback, or if you just came in, please like the stream. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. I've been stuck at 452. Please subscribe. Please share, and go blue or whatever your team is, and look for us to come back next week, and we'll stop it here. As always, remember, everyone, that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, be safe, and we'll talk to you the next time. Have a good night. All right, Alex.
Have a good one, guys. Have a good one.
All right.